I am so excited to be with you today because it has been forever since I have recorded a video. Lots of things have been happening in our family. We've made a move. We've sadly had a death in the family. Just a lot of things going on. So I won't go into all of that now. I'm just glad to be back. Let's just put it that way. So today I am going to be talking about SpellingYouSee. This is a program I've been wanting to review for a while and do an exclusive review on it because I've talked about it quite a bit in some of the previous videos related to the curricula that we use, for different levels, grade levels. And I've mentioned it and touched on it, but not thoroughly reviewed it. So I did want to talk about it today. As you can see, I've got a lot of SpellingYouSee in my possession. Level A, Level B, Level the first book in Level C is missing because we completed those and I no longer have them. Level F is missing because we haven't needed it. And but I can go through, an overview of the early levels and then kind of go through some of these and show you, what's in some of these. So let's just get to it. Okay, so since Level C is the earliest level that I have currently, I can go through this one to give you an overview of what SpellingYouSee is. SpellingYouSee is Demi and Demi Learning. They also do the MathYouSee series, and the SpellingYouSee series is very different, just like the MathYouSee series is very different from most of the traditional curricula you see. I saw a video about this on their website, and when I learned the philosophy behind it, I was very intrigued. This is a curriculum that comes with the Timberdoodle kits, and when we started homeschooling my youngest and actually my middle student as well, who was in 7th grade, we opted to try Timberdoodle for both of them. So that's when I got introduced to the SpellingYouSee. Let me kind of go through what SpellingYouSee is and the philosophy. And all of these levels have a instructor handbook. It's not very thick, but I do highly recommend you going through this, especially the first time. And then you'll need to refer to it throughout the course for various reasons, which I'll get into in a minute. Okay, so the philosophy, page 9. The philosophy about this spelling curricula is that kids will learn spelling and retain spelling a lot better if they're using the words in context and they're copying the passages that contain the spelling words. So essentially it's a copywork philosophy with regard to spelling. Now, you don't have to have a curricula to do copywork. Obviously, you can pick out passages from favorite books, you can pick out passages from scripture, you can pick out passages from educational materials, you can do anything you want. But what I like about this is it takes all of the thought out of it. It literally has age-appropriate tidbits of information that they use for copywork, and then it has a method of helping them remember certain word patterns. They call them chunking. The consonant chunks, the vowel chunks, bossy R chunks, tricky Y guys. They have little names for these. If you use, say for instance, All About Reading, they'll call them something different in that curriculum, but it's basically the concept is the same. So it's just the terminology is different. So this really goes into the philosophy, and I highly recommend you read this. It will help you understand where they're coming from and why they do what they do. Some of this stuff is just, again, informational, and then you'll see this throughout all of the different instructor guides. And then it has a little tidbit in here about just the specific level that you're working on. It gives you an overview, the things you're going to need, which they actually give you a set of erasable color pencils with every level. So you won't actually have to buy those. So a regular pencil is really all you're going to need. If you want to highlight, you can do that instead, but they do give you the colored pencils, so you can do it that way. And it gives you, this particular level starts with nursery rhymes, and then it goes into learning tidbits, okay? So you're going to have daily worksheets. It's a 5-day curricula, and if curriculum, sorry, curricula is plural, curriculum is singular. I don't know why I interchange those, sorry. So you get 36 weeks worth of lessons, and some tips for success. So since I don't have level A and B to show you, I'll just kind of quickly tell you what they're about. Level A is typically started at kindergarten level. It is for really, really early readers. So we didn't actually start it until about halfway through kindergarten because he wasn't really reading and he was still really struggling with letter formation at that age. I have a very young third grader. He's got a September birthday. As a matter of fact, when we started homeschooling him, we started him at the preschool level. He had just turned 5. Actually, he was almost to turn 5 because the school year started right before he turned 5. And I really just figured we'd just do preschool that year and then move on to kindergarten. Well, he kind of blew through all the preschool materials. And what's funny about that is he had zero interest in learning any preschool prior to that, like letters, letter sounds, colors, shapes, like no interest at all whatsoever. And so I had just like, fine, he's going to go into kindergarten when he's almost 5 anyway. Hopefully he'll be ready. And he was, and he did. He flew through it. So we started kindergarten in about October, November of that school year. And then we started this program about maybe 3-4 months after that, when he was doing letter formations a lot better, and he was reading simple books. So Bob books, the entry-level Bob books, he was reading those. So the level A, I don't know if you can see my screensaver keep popping up. I have a brand new setup here. It's really different, so bear with me if screensaver comes up. Yeah, I'll just click through that. Excuse me. I should have turned it off, but I didn't, and I don't want to start over, so that's that. Okay. So the level A starts with words that are phonetically easy to spell. Words that if they can read them, they can spell them. Cat, dog, mat. And they start with different, they kind of stay in the same sound, family, at words, words, going through the different vowels and whatnot. So by the end of level A, they're working with some consonant chunks like ch and sh and other things like that. So 4 and some 5-letter words actually, they finish up with level A. Level B starts with a little bit more of that, like they ease them into the transition to phrases and sentences. So they go from those words into the nursery rhymes and stories. Okay, so then they go into nursery rhymes and stories. So they're doing actual copy work of nursery rhymes. They'll work on about a half of the passage the first day. They'll copy the second half of the passage the second day. They're also instructed to complete word chunking, and I'll show you what that looks like in this level. I wish I had the other book because it would be very similar to what B, at the beginning of this level is very similar to what B was like, but I don't. So, okay, so right here, vowel chunks. They're instructed to color the vowel chunks in a specific color. It's always going to be yellow. Consonant chunks are always going to be blue, and then so on and so forth. Each type of chunk has a separate color, and they're instructed as to what color they're going to be doing. They copied half the passage here, and then they marked the chunks in this section. That's day 1. They recommend you only spend 10 minutes on this. So if it takes them longer than 10 minutes, it's up to you whether you want to do it. They only recommend 10 minutes. So for us, it doesn't really take much longer than that, and there's this thing where I feel like we have to finish it. So it doesn't stress him out. It's not a problem, so we just do it. The instructor manual will tell you how many of these they need to find. And that's always the first question I get. How many do I need to find? So I always provide that information. It's just easier. Then he knows whether he found them all. Then, of course, we go on to this section. And then the day 2, they're doing the second half of the passage. They're doing the vowel chunks again, or consonant chunks, whatever it is. And they are done with that particular day. The third day, they're going over the first half of the passage again. They're doing the vowel chunks again, and of course, the copy work. Now, the fourth day. The fourth day in levels A, B, and C are pretty much sort of a free-for-all. My cat is walking on my computer. Get down, baby. You can do this. You can do with this whatever you want. Some people get really bothered by the fact that they don't get to copy that second half of the passage again, because day 5 is dictation. Okay, so they're not getting to copy that part of the passage again. You can do this, make them do the copy work there if you want to. Usually it's got some instructions about draw your own picture, write your own sentences, write a story. In this case, it's asking to write your own sentences about sponges, and it gives some vocab, so you've got some vocab being introduced in this level. This was not in B or A. We don't do this because we have a 4-day week, because 1 day a week is spent at an options program, so we don't do day 4. And we haven't had an issue with not having to copy the second half of this passage. We just haven't. If I saw that we really needed that, I would probably do it on this day and just add an extra day. We'd take a little longer to finish it, but that's okay. So you do what you want with this one. Okay, so now we have the passage again, the chunking. By now, he's kind of sick of the chunking for the passage, and I don't make him do that. That is completely up to you. It is in the instructions to do the chunking for the day they do dictation. We don't do that. So then you get dictation. Now, the instructor's manual has the passages for dictation. It has the passages written out like this, so that you get look, see, these are the verses and things that it starts off with. Little boy blue, come blow your horn, the sheep's in the meadow, the cow's in the corn. This is actually a repeat from level B. I remember doing this with level B. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here's my handle, here's my spout. We did that one in level B. So it starts off with a little bit of review, and then after lesson 7, it goes into the dictation for the informational text. So this gives you that, and then you can also, in the latter half of this book, see where all the vowel chunks, consonant chunks, and all of the chunking is, so you can check their work. So anyway, that makes it really easy. It also tells you how many at the bottom of each lesson they're supposed to find. And as you can see, not every lesson is one type of chunk. You will get lessons that have multiple types of chunking in them. This one has 3. Consonant chunks, bossy R, tricky Y guy. It tells you how many of each. Okay, so they do this by dictation, and when you're done, it's positive reinforcement. You circle all the words they got right. Okay, so in this passage, he didn't get any wrong. He got 51 words right. He drew some fireworks. He was very excited. He drew happy people, and I drew a smiley face. Sometimes I'll put a sticker, whatever. It's very much about positive reinforcement. You focus on what they got right, not on what they got wrong. If they miss a word, it's not a big deal, because it will come up again. And that's why they don't really believe that they have to do that second half of the dictation, the second half of the copy work in the verse for that second day, because words are going to come up again, and it's not about what they miss, it's about what they get right. But if it bothers you, if it bothers your child because they feel like they're not prepared for the dictation, by all means, incorporate the copy work for that part of the passage. So here's consonant chunks. So the different lesson. It's in blue. Those are there. Again, we skipped the day 4. And we moved on to dictation, did not do that, and he got all of his words right. So this brings me to what I might consider a negative. I mean, it is such a minor negative. One would be that you're not getting to copy the second half of that one of the passage. That's a negative to some people. We haven't really noticed an issue. The other negative is that we just got to the point where he's getting them all right, all the time. And I just trusted the process. I'm like, well, you know, it's because it's working. And honestly, it is because it was working. But I didn't realize that he was actually ready for a different level before, it took me a while to figure that out, that he was actually ready for a higher level. And he is a very good reader. He's reading it easily at 5th grade level, and he's doing 3rd grade work. So that's probably one of the reasons why he needed to go up a level. I don't know. I can't say. But what I can say is that this has been a fantastic curriculum for us for spelling. I love it. I want to keep it forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Okay, so when I realized that he probably needed to go to a different level, I decided to give him a placement test. So if you're considering this program, use the placement test. You can go on to their website. You can have them do a placement test. It will give you the criteria that they need in order to qualify for being ready for a level. And once they do the placement test and you figure out where they're at, then that's the level you get. So I went and had them do the placement test for level D. Passed it with flying colors. Okay, which basically what they did is they took one of the last lessons. I think it was lesson 34. Yeah, here, lesson 34, and had them just do it by dictation, no prep or nothing. So, see, we didn't do any of the copy work here. I just realized it was in lesson 34, and I just had him do it out of the book. He got them all right. So I'm like, okay, well, we're ready for level D. And then I thought, well, just out of curiosity, is he ready for level E? And so because we had level D, knowing that we were going to finish this year and that he would move on to level D, we had level D, and I thought I could just move him into that. So we took the placement test for level E, and he passed it too. Now, I didn't make him do the dictation for it because he was really sick of writing at that point, but I did. It gave me the list of all the words that if they spelled these 10 words correctly, then they're ready for level D. So it wasn't even a matter of having to get all the words in the dictation correct. It was a matter of getting the key words that they wanted them to get correct. They wanted them to get those right. So I just literally gave him those individual words, and he got them all right. So I tried to move him into level E, and what happened was when he saw how many chunks he had to find, he was overwhelmed because it was quite a bit more than what he was used to. And so he's like, Mom, you're moving me too fast. So I said, okay, fine. We'll just do level D. So that's what we're doing for now. And hopefully once he gets used to this, because we haven't been doing it very long, but once he gets used to this, then we'll move on to level E. So I don't want him to be overwhelmed at all. I just want him to be, challenged a little bit. So level D. Level D, we get into informational text. Level C was about animals. Level D is Americana. So they're getting a lot of information about American history and things about America. And so to show you level D, now in this one we did not have any review in the sense that we didn't get, passages about animals that came out of level C. We didn't get any of that. We start right in with information about the flag. And so, again, and the chunking is very simple at first. It's just one thing at a time. Vowel chunks are harder than consonant chunks, I will say that. These are the hardest ones to find. So it did start with vowel chunks. So he went through that. He found all of those. Oh my goodness, my screensaver. And he got all but one word right. So So this may be a good place to start, to stay for now. I'm not in any hurry, but we'll just have to see. So we did not, okay, the difference then with level D compared to level C is that on the 4th day, they actually do dictation. So day 4 is meant to be dictation with help, okay? Ask for help if you need it. So they're also expected to get their capitalizations and their punctuation correct. So they've done enough of the copy work at this point that they're expected to get not just the spelling, but the punctuation correct as well. So they get help with this one. Now, then you do the dictation again, no help, okay? And this time they're also expected to get all of that correct. So here they can ask for help. If I noticed that he was forgetting to capitalize something, I would, clear my throat, make a notate, say something to him. If I saw that he missed a comma, I would use it as a teaching opportunity to show him that he needed to do his comma. Now, we did not do the dictation the 2nd day. He's used to a 4-day week. We wanted to keep it that way. I felt like if he missed quite a few from here, then I would do it the next day. But he just missed one word. It's a little bit difficult. I had him write it out here. And it's going to come up again, trust me, because this is Americana. That word is going to come up again. And so I'm not worried about it at this point. So we did not do the dictation again. That is completely up to you. Whatever you want to do. So again, we did it again here. This time he didn't miss any words, so I did not do dictation for the next day. So that's how we're approaching that, okay? And it just basically is the same. Now, it's going to pretty quickly go into multiple chunking. Here's the instructor guide. I want to say it was after 4 or 5 lessons, it was going to go into multiple chunking. Oh, yeah. Lesson 5, it's going to start with multiple chunking. Then it's going to do the R's and then multiple chunking. And then the endings, suffixes, and then the chunking. Yeah. So, when it introduces a new one, it's going to do just one for a little while. But then you can see it's doing all of them here. So this one will move a little faster in that respect. Okay, at the end of D, it looks like these passages might be just a little bit longer. We've got multiple chunking, and again, just more info regarding Americana paragraphs. Okay, so there's D. Level E, I had our teacher on record go ahead and get him level E so that we could move into it, because we're in a charter school, and that's a whole nother story. I won't get into all of that, but that's where he goes once a week for his enrichment classes, and then they buy our curriculum for him and we do our work at home. So level E, they went ahead and got for us so that when he's ready and done with D, or we feel like he can move on into level E, we're going to do that. So it's really more of the same. This is part 1. Passages are a little longer. This one, if I remember correctly, had 20-something vowel chunks, and that's where I was getting, no, it's too much. Yeah, 28 vowel chunks in the first passage, and he did not want to do that. Like I said, these are the hardest ones to find for him. So that's why we didn't do it. So, but again, really beautiful passages that have a lot of information in them. It's a really good supplement for American history as well. So we are actually doing American history this year. So that was one of the reasons why I was real excited to get into level D at least, because we're starting with American history and plan to continue it to next year. So again, more of the same here. As we go through, we've got the constant chunks level, lesson 3 is still 1 chunk at a time. Now we've got 2 by lesson 5. And again, they're doing the chunking, introducing them one at a time. So if you're coming into this program, you've never used it before, it should be a pretty easy transition. You're not going to just get dumped from lesson 1 with all the chunking that they need to do. It will take a little getting used to, though. Kids who are not used to copy work tend to resist it a little bit, especially if they don't like to write. And I mean, you're not writing from coming up with your own stuff, but you are obviously writing, copying passages. Some people, kids especially, if they're not used to it, think it's a waste of time. But what I have learned from this experience is that there's a major benefit to copy work. It really is what they say in the philosophy section of the teacher's guide. This is classical education technique. This is, you'll see this a lot with, Charlotte Mason and classical education, the copy work. And I even know some people that use copy work for everything, from spelling to grammar to usage to, anything writing, any writing skill along those lines, technical skill like that they use copy work for, and that's all they do is copy work. So, we have a grammar program. I'm not quite at that point, but for spelling, it really has, and punctuation and things like that, it has been invaluable. Making him, even when we weren't focused on it, the course wasn't focused on it, making him make sure that his sentences begin with capitals and have punctuation at the end and that sort of thing. Even if I had to tell him what punctuation to use, it was just invaluable. I see him using commas in his own writing in appropriate places, and we really haven't talked about that yet in grammar. We haven't really gotten there, but he's doing it because he's learned to do it from seeing good sentence structure, writing good sentence structure, writing good paragraph structure. Anyway, I really cannot say enough good things about this program. We really, 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 really like it. Okay, so just briefly, I'll go through G. We don't have F, and the reason I have G is because I mentioned that my 7th grader did Timberdoodle, and by 7th grade, they're not including any spelling, and I knew spelling was a problem at that point for mine, so I had him do the placement test. He tested into level G, so they ordered this for us separately, and I really wish I didn't have him finish this. And it wasn't because it wasn't working and I didn't like it. It was because he'd have to track me down to do the dictation since he was more independent. And he just kind of got to the point where he quit tracking me down. And I got to the point where I quit making him track me down or asking him where he was at with it. So we did about, half of level G. But it is a little different in the sense that you still have the copy work, but this time you're learning about roots, suffixes, prefixes. There's a little more question and answer type thing. So there's some vocab. There's some comprehension. If you're going to be doing vocab, you have some comprehension there too as well. So this goes a little deeper, but it's still a 5-day week. So this was my little thing. If he got a word wrong, I had him write it correctly 3 times. So in this passage, he missed 3 words. So I also noticed that I started grading, and I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know whether or not I did that because it said to, or if I did that just for my own, like I had to put a grade on it, because I did not have to do this for the sake of the charter school. Maybe my, traditionally educated brain felt it necessary to do that, but it's really not their philosophy. It's really more about how many words they got right. So, yeah, you can probably ignore that. But anyway, so that's how that worked, and he seemed to really enjoy it. But like I said, he got kind of tired of tracking me down to go through the dictation, and these passages take a little longer there, to do dictation. So that's the one thing that, if you want to consider that a negative, see, we got some more. They're starting to get harder, and he's missing a few more words here. So anyway. It's I still really like it. I wish we had done more with this level, but I'll just hold on to it and maybe use it for the younger one coming up up the ladder there. So anyway, this is my review of SpellingYouSee. I hope that you found it informational and that it was helpful. And please subscribe to my channel. I am so excited to get back to recording videos, and I have so much, so many ideas, so many things to review, so many things to talk about, and I hope to be seeing you way more often at this point. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.